Responsible for what you do with the extra bread in your wallet.
KRNT Des Moines. A Des Moines radio group station.
1350 ESPN.
Online at espndesmoines.com.
This is your ESPN Des Moines Sports Center.
I'm Mike Wickett. Tomorrow is the first of 2 open practices for the Iowa Hawkeyes football team, and you're invited to watch at Kinnick Stadium. You'll see plenty of talent in the Hawks wide receiving corps, including Tyrone Tracy Jr., who says his quarterback Spencer Petras has made great strides this spring.
Right now, I mean, he's putting balls on the money. He's been on the field for a year, and he's acting like he knows what he's doing. He's a vet, but yeah, he's being a great leader, and he's like working on just leading the whole offense, not just the quarterbacks and the receivers.
Gates open at 8:30 tomorrow. Practice starts at 9:30. Admission is free. The 2-2 Drake football team wraps up their regular season at home tomorrow against Presbyterian on 1350 ESPN. Pre-game starts at 12:30. Kickoff is at 1. And you can catch Game 2 of the Cubs and Braves series tomorrow, 12:45 pre-game, 1:20 first pitch on our sister station, Hope 940 AM. Sunday night's Cubs game will be back on 1350 ESPN. With your ESPN Des Moines Sports Center, I'm Mike Wickett.
It's showtime! It's showtime! Hurry, step right up! Introducing the star of our show! His name is Wickett! So without further ado, I bring to you Wickett! Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this?
This is Wickett's World
With Mike Wickett.
on 1350 ESPN.
Yo! It will seem that during baseball season, we are at the mercy of the Chicago Cubs, who played a seemingly 19-hour baseball game or something today.
And it looked like it was about to go to 22.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. Cubs lose, Braves win. We're live here on a Friday, an hour late, but the way this is going to work in the summertime until the show moves to its new time slot soon, we're going to be on after Cubs baseball every Friday when there is a Cubs home game, which, by the way, is there are more Fridays where the Cubs play a 1:20 game than there are not, if that makes sense. Because every Cubs home series begins with a Friday 1:20 first pitch game. And if there are 4-hour games like we got today, then this is why we're not on the air till 5:34. And we only get about a half-hour show today.
Well, that's all right. Considering it's kind of a slow sports world, we can bang everything out as quick as possible.
If you are listening to us on 1350 AM, hey, what's going on? If you're watching us on if you're watching us on Facebook, we actually are live on the ESPN Des Moines YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And if you are watching the feed, you'll see there's this black box next to me. Mm-hmm. If I set it up right, and I've never done it before until about an hour ago, that's where your comments go. So you can comment, we can see the comments come in, and we can interact and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you subscribe to the ESPN Des Moines YouTube page so you can watch the show. You'll see the videos we put up. A lot coming to that page and that channel, so make sure you do it. How are you, JD?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. It's Friday, man. How can you not be great on a Friday?
It is Friday. It hasn't been the busiest week. Like, there's been some stuff, but it hasn't been the busiest week. No. And we're going to just skip the week that was, the weekend that is, because simply we don't have a whole lot of time here today.
Right.
But I do want to get into a couple of things. And one thing to me that has been really, really impressive is what TJ Otzelberger has got going on at Iowa State. Like, you want to talk about a guy who hit the ground running and knew what his job was going to be. Yeah. He has said that his whole plan is going to be to reclaim the upper Midwest, if that's the best way I can put it.
I didn't know they had it before.
Well, he's a guy, he's from Wisconsin. He was at Iowa State. He was on Hoiberg's staff. He was on Prohm's staff. He's got a lot of connections into Minnesota. There's a lot of talent in the upper Midwest.
Sure.
And seemingly, he has decided that his mission, Otzelberger's mission as new head coach at Iowa State, is going to be, I got to lock down what I can lock down in this part of the country. And man, oh man, has he done that, because the transfer portal has been very, very good to Otz so far. They lost their best player in Rasir Bolton. I mean, you expect after a terrible, and I mean terrible year, which is what Iowa State is coming off of, dead last in the Big 12. They were never really a contender in most games. I think they won 2 all year. Didn't win a game in conference. You looked and you said, there's going to be a lot of turnover. There's going to be a lot of guys moving. There's going to be a lot of change. And there is. Guys are leaving. They've lost, I think, 3 or 4 guys. They lost their best player, and you kind of knew that. But Otzelberger, after losing his top scorer in Bolton, has come in and really restocked the cupboard very, very well. Through the transfer portal alone, he's added 4 guys.
And they're all quality. They're not bad players at all. They got the kid from Minnesota.
They grabbed Gabe Kalsher, excuse me. He's a guard. He was recruited by Otz a couple of years ago. And he's a guy that can give you, probably, what did he give Minnesota, about 10 points per game last season? Mm-hmm. He's a guy that's going to see some minutes. He might be a starter for this squad next year. He's also, from what I'm reading, and I'm not going to say that I watched a ton of Minnesota Golden Gopher basketball. JD, that's your job.
I was going to say that would shock me. You did that.
But I read that he's their best defensive player. That Kalschel is the best defensive player Minnesota had. So that's going to add to his playing time at Iowa State.
And as we saw in the NCAA tournament, Mr. Wickett.
Yeah, Baylor.
That's the key to winning championships.
Yeah.
And being able to score.
You ever heard defense wins championships?
Yeah.
You ever heard of that one before? They also added, I'm going to just call him Jazz because he's Slovenian and I don't know how to say his name properly, but they added a 6'8" forward from Washington State in the transfer portal.
Okay.
Who can stretch the floor, who can hit from the outside, because everybody can hit from the outside these days. But they add Jazz, and they add this Kalschel kid. They also had a power forward by the name of Robert Jones out of Denver. Not a high school, out of Denver. It's either University of Denver or Denver University. I don't know. They never really matter. They're always in a Big Ten squad's non-conference schedule. That's always what happens. So those 3, and if you're an Iowa State, there's a lot more to talk about, too. If you're an Iowa State fan, you'll remember the name Caleb Grill.
Yeah.
Caleb Grill was recruited by Otz. He left to go to South Dakota. Caleb Grill stayed and played for a year under Prohm. Otz leaves South Dakota State, whatever, and he goes to UNLV. Well, Caleb Grill goes to transfer to UNLV to play for Coach Otzelberger. Well, now Otz is back at Iowa State, and they're firing up the grill again.
I love it. There it is.
See, it all comes full circle.
You need a bell for stuff like that.
It all comes full circle. And then there was some more great news if you're an Iowa State fan. Iowa fan, I'll get to you in a second. There just wasn't a ton of good news for you basketball-wise this week. Tyrese Hunter, who is one of the top prospects in the state of Wisconsin. He's a point guard out of Racine, the southern part of the state near the Illinois border. He's a 4-star prospect, and he had committed to Prohm. Mm-hmm. And the big worry last week was, as we went into the weekend with all these moves and everything happening, is Tyrese Hunter going to stay committed to Iowa State? As it turns out, he is. He reaffirmed that he is staying committed to Iowa State, and in all likelihood, he's your starting point guard next winter. You're going to start a freshman at point guard. Kid is smooth. He can score from all over. He's a really interesting prospect to watch. And people were worried he was going to go elsewhere, but he confirmed that he is sticking around. And they get the best player in the state of Iowa in the class of 2022 this week. I don't do a ton of basketball recruiting, but they're going to get this kid named Taman Lipsey is his name.
What a great name for basketball.
It's good.
Yeah.
He's
Lipsey for 3.
He's a point guard out of Ames. He goes to Ames High School. Mm-hmm. He's the best player in the state of Iowa, and he doesn't have to go very far to go to college. I always find it really weird when hometown kids, you talk about hometown. If a Cedar Rapids kid wants to go to Iowa or Iowa State, hometown guy. Tristan Wirfs, who was on Tom Brady's offensive line. Yeah. Oh, hometown guy for Iowa fan. But this is the epitome of hometown guy.
Ames
staying in Ames.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Ames. I've been there several times.
I live there.
You live there. Mm-hmm. What do you think of Ames?
There's a lot to do.
Yeah. But if you lived in Ames, if you grew up in Ames, if you spent the last 17 years of your life in Ames.
You want out of Ames.
Wouldn't you want to go somewhere else?
Typically, at that age, you're wanting to go somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Warm. Now, I get it because I think that this Otz is probably, that says something about him. Yeah. Maybe it says something about the kid that he's just a hometown boy You know, my brother-in-law is what they would call your atypical small-town guy.
Okay.
You know, he doesn't want to leave where he's at. He's familiar with everything. He doesn't want to leave what he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times with young kids, either A, they've had a rough time and they want to get the heck out of Dodge, or B, they like where they're at. They're comfortable, and mom and dad can come to the games, and so can grandpa and grandma, brothers, and all that great stuff.
You know, he picked, he wanted to stay home. He wanted to stay near his family, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. That's just...
The first time they give him a bad critique, the family,
yeah,
he's going to want to get through the transfer portal and go someplace else.
I think it's interesting, too. He plays point guard, and then Tyrese Hunter, the kid from Wisconsin, is going to be a freshman this year. He'll be a sophomore when this Lipsy kid is a freshman.
Sure.
So there's going to be some real competition, perhaps. That, to me, would have scared me off a little bit. He picked, by the way, Iowa State over Minnesota and Nebraska. So those are the schools that had offered Lipsy by the time he said he was going to commit to Iowa State. Doesn't mean he's definitely going to go to Iowa State, but it's a heck of a get.
Sure.
For T.J. Otzelberger to get the number one player in the state to I mean, I don't know if it sounds like Iowa wasn't on his list, that Fran McCaffrey didn't have him on his list. I looked at the 247sports.com, like where you look at all the recruiting stuff. It's big news when the number one player in your state stays not just in state, but in city. Mm-hmm. And you were looking, and he didn't get a ton of offers yet, but Minnesota offered, Nebraska offered, and Iowa State offered, and the kid wanted to stay home.
Right.
In Ames, the metropolis.
And do you think Fran just kind of knew maybe he just wasn't a fit for the Hawks? Is that why? Maybe he just, whatever he runs.
What does that mean? He wasn't a fit for the Hawkeyes. What does that, I mean, the kid is a tremendous point guard who can get the ball to everybody else. I don't understand why Fran wouldn't be in on him.
Didn't feel he had a chance, but that's.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's Fran. Who knows?
Fran's angry.
He is angry.
Fran had an interesting week, too, this week because, Luka Garza's gone. Jack Nungy transferred. You assume that Jordan Bohannon's not coming back for his 6th year of eligibility.
Didn't Wieskamp say as well that he was going to go for the draft but not have an agent?
That's where we are at.
Okay.
Joe Wieskamp has made the announcement that he is going to test the waters. He made that announcement 2 years ago after his freshman year. If you don't hire an agent, the rules are different than what they used to be. Did you know that if you don't get drafted and don't hire an agent, you can go back to school?
Yeah, I did know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no,
and the rules have changed within the last couple of seasons because it used to be you declared, you're gone. If your name is in the draft and you don't get drafted, sorry. Wieskamp was one of the top 2 guards in all of the Big Ten last year. He averaged 14 and 6. Every single mock draft I have seen of Joe Wieskamp has him in the late 2nd round.
Which is probably higher than Garza's going to go.
I don't know. That would be an interesting prop bet. Mm-hmm. Who gets drafted higher? The National Player of the Year or his 2 guard?
We're laughing, but truly, I think you're probably right. Well, that would be a good one.
In fairness, Wieskamp's game, when he is on, translates better to the NBA than Luka Garza's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of how much everybody shoots, and Garza's not the quickest guy. But Luka or Wieskamp, who gets drafted first? I can guarantee you this. NBA franchises picking in the 50s aren't sweating that. They're just going to flip a coin. What do we need? Do we need a shooter or do we need a big guy?
Right.
What do we need? We'll draft the guy that is, that fits our little bit of a need as the 10th guy on the bench or whatever better. Now, the question is, if you're Wieskamp, and this is a question for a lot of guys, if you don't get drafted, do you want to go back to Iowa or do you want to start playing professionally? Because the G League is out there. Guys can go play, get minutes, try to get some run, get paid.
Yeah.
And
actually, they get paid pretty well.
Yeah, I don't even know what the starting salary is for a G League player, but it's more than he's making in Iowa, in theory.
That's right.
In theory.
I was just saying, well, hold on.
In theory, it's more than he's making in Iowa. I don't know that to be certain, but I believe it is, So, yeah, I think that it's just been a really interesting week for local basketball on those two fronts because you have Iowa State knowing they need to restock. Otzelberger's hitting the ground running. You have a lot of uncertainty in Iowa with Wieskamp's future because let's be real here. If Wieskamp doesn't come back to Iowa next year,
Fran's going to be angry a lot.
well, he's always angry.
but he's going to be really angry a lot.
But as good as this year was, they're going to be pretty bad next year. And I'm not saying they're going to be, as bad as Iowa State was this year, but don't look for Iowa to be looked at as a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament next year.
No, and there's no Luka Garza sitting on the bench right now.
No, Nunji was supposed to be the next guy. There's a kid, and I don't know how this all works. There's a New York kid who has reclassified. And I'm not, that goes a little bit too much inside recruiting for me. But there's a kid who decided to reclassify from the class of 2021, or to the class of 2021 from the class of 2022. This big, tall, 6'9", goofy-looking, he looks like a 17-year-old kid is supposed to look. Right. But he will be here in the winter playing for Fran next year. Now, he probably weighs as much as I do. He's probably 6'9", 170, if that.
What a stud in the middle.
But in a couple of years, he might be a guy that can develop. Iowa's going to take a big step back. I think Iowa State's going to take a big step forward. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 25 team, but I think Iowa State might even hover around 500 next year with the firepower they're bringing back in. And I have to imagine now the thing is, can Otts coach? Otts coached in South Dakota. Otts was under 500 at UNLV. He was on Hoiberg's staff. Can Otzelberger coach? We know the man can recruit. Can he coach? And the difference in fan bases. I mean, do we have to take a break, by the way?
Yeah, I would say we probably should take a quick one here.
Okay.
And then come back, and then we can wrap it up going to the last one.
Gotcha. Because the difference in where Iowa's basketball fandom is right now and where Iowa State's is, both have some strong opinions and some uncertainty about their coaches. We'll talk about that coming up next.
Phone lines are open. 515-244-1350. This is Wickett's World on 1350 ESPN.
$1350 ESPN, ESPN Des Moines online, ESPNDesMoines.com. That is JD Justice. My name is Mike Wickett. This is Wickett's World. We are streaming on YouTube. You can hear it in my phone, just making sure everything's working. Like ESPN Des Moines on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at ESPN DSM. And subscribe on our YouTube page, because if you're watching right now, that's where the video is. That's where we're at right now. So you've got Iowa. Do you want to come in here? Okay. Come on in here.
This is Heather.
How long will this take?
Well, it'll take me probably 2 minutes to put on and
Okay. All right. So if you missed, can you come over on this side here?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you missed We'll get to Iowa and Iowa State. Maybe over the weekend I'll do a podcast. This is Heather Lee. Heather and I are the new morning team over on Laser. Once I can hire a nanny. That's very, very important. You want to do it, JD?
I told you I would.
You want to watch our kids?
All I care is that you have benefits.
So Heather has just put a new tattoo. Can you show me your tattoo real quick? It's
Look
right
at
there.
that.
Yeah. Down here. Yeah.
Ooh.
There you
Look
go.
at that.
So Heather's got a tattoo. She's trying to figure out.
Mary Poppins. She's
It's-
got a umbrella. Is that Mary Poppins?
Very Seattle.
Very Seattle.
She's super.
Okay.
She's super grunge. I'm metal. She's grunge.
Okay, gotcha.
So Heather's getting a tattoo that's a temporary.
Okay.
And my 40th birthday is in 5 days. And so I'm trying to figure out if I want to get a tattoo.
You do.
And I said, well, what if we put one on my arm and we decided that we're just going to see how I feel about having a tattoo? More importantly, does my wife like it if I have a tattoo?
I think actually she would. And Heather, I forgot. I apologize, but now your microphone is actually on. It was not on. My apologize. We have a microphone here that
We
you
do.
can use.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's for me?
That is
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
So
See,
much
look at
better
that.
because everyone can hear you, and then as opposed to off mic, it just sounds better, more
Yeah.
professional, things like that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put a tattoo on this temporary tattoo on my arm.
Okay.
And we're going to see, I'm going to go over it for the next couple of weeks to see how I feel about it. Mm-hmm. And then maybe for my 40th, I'll get a tattoo.
All right. Now the question is, Heather, where on his arm would you like to see the man have it?
It's going to go up here.
I mean,
Since there's no bicep.
There is not a lot of meat on
No.
these arms.
Whoa.
But I'm thinking, I've got my ideas, but let's see if you're on the same page with me. Go ahead.
Well,
I mean, it's a microphone.
I
is
want
what
him
it
to
is.
be happy.
Yeah.
I like the wrist location. That's why I put mine there. But you know, that's a good spot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to like douse baby formula onto your wrist to test it.
No,
I
we're out
don't
of that phase.
do children, so
I kind of thought right here on his arm.
No.
Right
it's not
here.
big enough.
Listen, I don't work out. My arms aren't very big. Like, this is not a. There's not.
I think he needs the barbed wire that goes around his arm.
It's not spring break 1997.
Right. Get my tongue pierced again.
But it's in honor
So
of
here, I'll
his
show the
40th.
people on the stream.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what this looks
What do
like.
we got? Okay.
I like that.
It's
Mike.
a microphone, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's not what I would get, but I kind of want to know how it, what it looks like to have an arm tattoo.
It's meta. It's mic on mic.
Aha. Get
There
it?
it is. I got it.
Because I think the tattoo I would want would be my family. Why is that funny to you?
We're not going there.
So what do we have to do first?
So this is from Inkbox.
It's a website?
Yeah,
Okay.
Inkbox Tattoo. So first we just have to prime you.
Prime me.
So we're just gonna.
All right.
Is Lee
Yep,
watching
good.
this?
I have no idea.
She needs to be
I
watching
asked
this.
permission.
Okay. No, but I think she needs to watch it go on. I
Yeah.
think it'd be great. And then it'd be even more fun is when they actually stick the needle in his arm for real.
That is the number one reason why I've always said I don't want a tattoo. I'm not tough.
Is this the same arm that you got your Pfizer in?
No, this was
the other
Team
one.
Pfizer was the other arm. So
gotcha.
yeah.
That's why it's got
All
more
right.
bicep to it over
So
there. on the
now-
other side.
We have just exfoliated and cleaned the area.
Got that?
So I'm just fanning it.
Okay.
This is good.
I'm watching this because
Yeah.
I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
Do you have a tattoo, JD?
I do not.
Do you want one?
Yes.
What are you gonna get? A Minnesota Viking?
I don't think I would. I don't know.
Ragnar or whatever that thing's
No,
name was.
no. Ragnar is not even happening ever.
He's
Sorry.
done, right? They shunned him.
They shunned him because he tried to get a bunch of money from him, and it's like, dude, no.
You're a fan who has
You're
a
a fan.
costume. Calm down.
So Mike Wickett has approximately 18 hairs on his bicep. We're gonna go above those.
Do I have to shave those?
No.
Should I have prepped my own arm?
This is despicable.
I feel like she's gonna start plucking each one out
That's
individually.
fine. Do you
Okay.
do you have a tweezers? We could
I
pull
got
those
it.
out.
So the
tease them.
middle of the paper comes off first. The tattoo will be blue for the first 24 hours, and then it will turn black,
Okay.
like mine.
All right.
So I'm going to place it, and you have to leave it for an hour.
Okay.
Don't touch it.
I'm gonna drive around. This is how I'm gonna go home. Here we go. Is it dry enough? Okay. All right.
I'm loving this.
Does it hurt? It's just a sticker right now.
So now I'm just
You can rub my shoulders. That's fine. That would be totally fine.
I don't think you got those benefits in your contract. Those are extra.
My bad.
That's, you know.
My bad. All right, then we take this. All right. Oh, God.
Come on. Pull it off. I don't want to hear him cry if you yank it off too hard. Okay.
Oh. I have to do that with, like, waterproof
I was going to say, it doesn't pull skin off, does it?
waterproof Band-Aids like I have for my kids. There's this little outer lining.
Just try to stay still.
Okay.
Pretend
Mike-
you're a or a pre-suffrage woman. Just
Mike,
sit
if
there
you
and
liked
stay
it-
still. There you go.
All right.
Like this. Hey, Mike, if
Yeah.
you like this,
Yeah.
I say you and I go get tats together.
Well, if I do like it, then I would find a local tattoo company here in Des Moines and make a day out of it.
That'd be
And
fun.
and I would bring my documentarian.
yeah.
Yes.
She went with me to get
really
my
good at it.
my Pfizer shot last week.
I
That's awesome.
invited myself.
She wanted to come to my party.
Did he cry?
No, he was very brave. He made a face. The video is on his Facebook page and his Instagram.
It's
at
on the
Mike Wickett.
It's on the ESPN Des Moines page too.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Wickett with 2 T's.
That's right. There are two
That's
T's.
why.
Don't move.
What do you mean? I have to move my arm.
I
Do
Okay.
love it. This is
you have a
great.
sling you want to put me in or tie me off?
Well, not here.
Next week we might have a full show. We just don't know.
I think so. It all depends on the Cubs game again.
Always at the mercy of the Cubs. I will podcast the thoughts between that are going on between Iowa and Iowa State basketball fans over the weekend, because I think that going into this season, the thoughts on Iowa State from Iowa State fan is like, okay, let's hope, let's pray, and it's kind of the same way, but for different reason for Iowa fans. So appreciate the short show. JD, you have yourself a good weekend, my friend.
Thank you, you too.
Me and my tattoo,
I
we're
was
going to
gonna
go
say,
home.
Are you going to take lots of photos of it this weekend? How long does it stay on, Heather?
It depends how often you bathe and exfoliate, but
He doesn't do that much.
Wait, just the more I bathe means it stays on longer or less?
Less.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
So 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, I did this like 10 days ago, and it still looks really good.
Yeah.
But I'm very careful in the shower.
Well, I just don't bathe.
So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Are you going to do a State of the Iowa address? Because I think that would be fun.
We can do that.
Iowa State.
Thank you. Hey.
Bye.
Heather Lee from Laser
Bye, Heather.
103.3.
Thanks, Heather.
JD, we will talk with you again coming up next week. For JD Justice, my name is Mike Wickett. Short show. Thanks for listening. Have yourself a great weekend here on 1350 ESPN Des Moines.
Vaccine because it is my duty to keep my family, coworkers, and the citizens of Anchorage.